Time for another Hot Air Sports podcast with me, Macca, and me good mate, Mahona. You survived your birthday last week, mate.
Barely, mate, barely. Still recovering. Yes, I'm in my 50. I'm on my 52nd year now, aren't I? I'm 51.
You are in your 52nd year.
52nd year of good, clean living, mate, and feeling all the better for it.
Did you say the second year of good, clean living?
Yeah, COVID's got some positive effects. It's cleaned me.
Quite right.
Okay, mate. Let's get into the sports. While the rest of the world is infected, the sports go on. And another week of another batch of Kiwi sporting people complaining about the MIQ system, mate. And they can't get home. What's going on? We all know the system is flawed, but really, how do we try and get over 25,000 Kiwis back home without favouring one over the other? The other question that we have is how many of these sports people who choose this lifestyle job would come home and then after a week or a month hop on another plane for another event somewhere else in the world? Triathlete Hayden Wild this week has said he wants to come home so that he can celebrate his Olympic bronze, and then he's going to be off to his next event.
It's a waste of an MIQ spot.
Yeah, what's going on here, mate? It seems like one rule for some people and another rule for the others. It's not really fair, is it?
No, it's not fair. And as you say, we know the system is flawed. Yes, the Black Caps and All Blacks and netball teams have the privilege over individuals. Braden Curry's wife was on the news the other night complaining that Braden can't get home, so they're going to think about living overseas. Well, probably in this situation with COVID around the world, it's probably better to base yourself overseas so you can compete in all your events. I mean, Braden Curry would compete in one, maybe two events in New Zealand a year?
At the most.
At most. And Hayden Wild, he's not going to compete at home at all. So just stay overseas. Yeah, it's hard, but that's the life you choose.
I know, mate. And on that note, yesterday, actually, the UFC's middleweight champion, Israel Adesanya, launched a blistering attack on the country's bureaucrats. He called them after a makeshift bubble at Auckland City kickboxing gym was disbanded after being served with a warning notice by police. As well, the fact that Kiwi UFC fighters are amongst the many professional athletes in New Zealand unable to acquire the MIQ spots, while teams such as Bangladesh and the Netherlands cricket teams have been granted exemptions to enter the country. He has said, "You will never see me fight in New Zealand ever again. All that money, they can get it from somewhere else. Their rugbies, their crickets, and all the others they're giving exemptions to as well. You'll never see me fight on these shores again. That was one of my dreams, to headline a stadium in my backyard. That dream's dead in the water. That's just the way I feel right now." So he's obviously feeling pretty much the same about it. Individual athletes are being penalised for being individual athletes. Teams seem to be given priority treatment. It's one rule for another rule for others. We need to make either one rule for athletes across the board. Surely, mate. Surely we need one rule for all. If they can't come in, they can't come in. If they can, they can. Otherwise,
right.
otherwise, it's just not. We are playing favourites, mate, and it's not fair.
I mean, I'm not saying I agree with this, but the teams that are allowed to come into the country, i.e., the Wallabies got an exemption. The cricket teams, as you just mentioned, are getting exemptions. The only reason I can think of is because they're bringing an economic benefit to the country by playing in front of paying crowds. That's the only thing. And as I say, I don't agree with it, but that's the only reason I can think of that these teams are allowed exemptions.
So they're prioritising money over safety. Once again, I mean, look, it's either one thing or another. It's either the safety or the money. If we take the money, we should take it from everyone. I completely understand Israel Adesanya's frustrations. I completely get it, but he's completely right. At the moment, look, it's dead in the water for now, that dream of having a UFC. It's not going to happen in New Zealand anyway while COVID's going on. It's just not going to happen. So he is probably best, along with all those. I mean, it's horrible to say, but they are probably best. The UFC events will continue in the United States and on Fight Island in Dubai. You're probably best to go and base yourself over there. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say all our, New Zealand's made a real good go of creating a great gym with some great trainers and getting some really good fighters and making a real go of the UFC in New Zealand. But just for the moment, maybe it is best to base yourself overseas, mate.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, why should Hayden Wild have an advantage over Mary Simpson, who wants to get home to see her sick mother?
Absolutely. No, he shouldn't. Once again, and if it is money that it's coming down to, well, that's just wrong, isn't it? It defeats the purpose in the first place. So, it's a tough situation, mate. But it should be, like we say, I think there should be one rule for all. But
yep. I mean, I don't have the answer to making a more equitable MIQ system, and I'm sure there's thousands of others that don't either. It's just, it's hard.
It's a shit situation all around.
It certainly is. It certainly is. Speaking of shit situations, current and former cyclists who received confidential settlements from Cycling New Zealand after the last inquiry into bullying and sexism within the organisation are asking for those agreements to be voided so they can speak freely to those running the latest inquiry following the death of former Olympian cyclist Olivia Podmore. Now, Cycling New Zealand Chief Executive Jacques Landry has said the organisation had communicated with athletes and coaches who may have an NDA or settlement agreement, and they are able to speak freely with the inquiry. However, a letter sent to athletes on Tuesday reads differently, stating those with NDAs or confidentiality agreements can speak to the inquiry about any matter not covered by the confidentiality obligations agreed to.
I'm confused. Are they allowed to say what they think or not?
Well, only about they can't speak about what they spoke about at the previous inquiry.
So you can be completely honest about everything.
Yeah.
But don't mention the war.
Don't mention the war. Yeah.
That's
I mean, this
is what it is.
You either have an inquiry where all the dirty laundry comes out, or you don't.
You don't have an inquiry. Look, if you're going to air the dirty laundry, like you say, you have to chuck it on the line, don't you? And it has to, it has to be chucked in the washing machine first and then chucked on the line. And I don't think it's gone through the washing machine properly yet, mate. I don't think all the dirt's been washed away. I don't think half of it's come out. And obviously, if they were worried about telling the truth the first time, and now that it's come to this, they want those previous confidential sort of statements quashed because they're worried about why would they feel any more confidence telling them this time?
Well, the thing that worries me the most is the rumors or maybe truths that came out after Olivia Podmore's death about the fact she was asked to lie to the last inquiry.
I know.
Those people need to be ratted out and got rid of.
Absolutely. Who was, the previous inquiry, maybe you need to have an inquiry into the previous inquiry rather than an inquiry into the whole of Cycling New Zealand to find out why that happened. I mean, why lying about this sort of thing is just, I mean, they're having this sort of thing to sort out problems within the internal organization. They can't make any changes if they don't get the truth to start with.
Oh, exactly.
So it's I mean, I'm hopeful that that they will listen to what they're saying this time, but hopeful. That's all I can remain hopeful, because like I say, man, if they've said something negative and they're worried about that implicating their own career and they're wanting that quashed, even though it was supposedly confidential before, why would they have any more confidence to speak openly this time?
Exactly.
I mean, I'd just say nothing. I'd just say, I know nothing. Yeah. I know nothing. I just like cycling. I know nothing, That's
crazy.
Breakers basketball star Ty Webster's been cut from the team after refusing to get vaccinated for COVID-19. The club released a statement earlier in the week, a pretty short-worded statement too, just saying the club and the player had ended its contract by mutual consent. Now, Ty Webster's a bloody good player.
Yep.
But the Breakers' hand was forced by a ruling across the Tasman, with the Australian state regulation set to require players to be vaccinated to participate in this year's NBL. Will this set a precedent for other clubs in other codes to face this predicament once leagues start again? And what the hell is Ty Webster thinking?
Yeah, he's obviously done his research. Where, I don't know.
With Nicki Minaj, he's been...
part of the
researching his
fan club.
cousin in the Barbados who's got the inflated testicles. Yeah, okay.
This is just crazy. Why you would put a potential NBA career, because this guy's good enough to play in the NBA, why you would put that in danger by not having a vaccination is just, it's beyond me. I mean, I think we're both from the same school where we think everybody in New Zealand should be vaccinated whether they want to or not.
Yep.
It should be compulsory.
Yeah, hold them down. I had a good idea the other day when they opened up level 3 and there's like 4-kilometer queues for KFC. They should not allow anyone through there without being vaccinated. Yeah. Everyone that goes through has to be vaccinated. That'd get them their KFC and their vaccinations at the same time. I mean, give me a break, mate. We've been vaccinated against polio, measles, all these other things previously. It's never been an issue. All of a sudden, we've got something that's a worldwide pandemic, and vaccination's a problem. The side effects.
We're gonna get the microchips.
Yes, my 5G is going to get me. I mean, come on, people. COVID's way worse than being vaccinated. Get vaccinated, and if you've got. Look, it's just going to be part of the world going forward, isn't it, man? I mean, absolutely. It is just going to be it. If you don't want to get vaccinated in 2021, you're going to have a pretty shitty 2020s. You're not going to really be traveling anywhere. You're going to miss out on jobs. You're going to miss out on opportunities, all for the fact you don't want to get a needle stuck in your arm and just, it's ridiculous. It's just crazy, and he's an idiot.
Yep. And as you say, at the end of that, it will send a precedent for the other clubs. Warriors players are all going to need to be vaccinated.
They are.
Phoenix players are going to need to be vaccinated. All Super Rugby franchises are going to have to be vaccinated. So, if you don't want to be vaccinated, you're not going to be playing sport in Australia or anywhere else in the world.
And I think your name will be made public too.
Absolutely.
If you're in one of those big teams, if you're a professional sports person, all of a sudden you're cut because don't think the professional sports team will have any reason to explain exactly why you've been cut, and then deal with it. Deal with the consequences.
Quite right. Well, from the I told you so file, was it wise of New Zealand cricket to decide it was okay to tour Pakistan this year, given the hasty cancellation of the tour just a couple of hours prior to the first ODI in Rawalpindi, followed closely by England cancelling their men's and women's tours of the country, despite its government saying all the necessary security measures are in place. Pakistan officials are blaming the threats on an unnamed Indian who they believe sent the threats, including one to the wife, and this gets me, of batsman Mark Guptill, TV presenter Laura McGoldrick. Just knowing Laura personally, I mean, this would just have been horrific.
Absolutely.
In her inbox. And the PCB is also urging Australia to keep their tour of Pakistan in place.
Yeah, the question was it wise for New Zealand cricket to send them there? No, it was extremely unwise. And I just couldn't believe when the tour was cancelled last Friday night, just the amount of vitriol directed towards the New Zealand cricket team, especially from Pakistan fans and fans on the subcontinent, just saying cowards and all this sort of stuff. When you saw the video footage of their van being escorted through the streets of Rawalpindi with about a 40-car convoy, you sort of thought, well, what's that for then? It's obviously not to just carry their gear. Man, it just looked, I honestly don't think that our team, that our cricketers can be accused of cowardice as far as visiting places. I mean, there have been places where bombs have gone off before. They have to take these things seriously, mate. If you get a threat like that, Christ, if a Pakistan team came to New Zealand and they got a threat saying there was a very real terror threat that they were going to be, they would do exactly the same thing, whether they were whether they were in New Zealand, Australia, or playing it in Russia. It doesn't matter, mate. So for them to turn that vitriol towards the New Zealand team because they received the threats and they weren't credible threats. Well, how do they know?
It was the guy that lives in Kolkata, Ravi.
Sandeep Gupta's neighbour. Exactly. I mean, they don't know. They get a threat. I've got to take it seriously. And the best thing for them was to get out of there. And it's sad for the cricket fans of Pakistan, but mate, you got to do what's safe, don't you?
Oh, quite right.
God.
Quite
I mean,
right.
can you imagine if something had have gone on after they'd received the threat, and God just help us, one or two players mortally injured or something like that, the amount of vitriol that would have been directed towards the New Zealand Cricket Council or towards, why didn't you get them out of there? You've received threats. Well, they have to think of their players first. Come on.
Quite right.
Okay, mate. The All Blacks and the Springboks, big test this week. They bring up the 100 Test match, playing each other for the 100th time. Prior to rugby becoming professional, the All Blacks had never beaten the Boks in a series in the Republic until 1996, and Sean Fitzpatrick hammering his hand on the ground. Oh, wasn't that a great tour, that 1996 tour? With the sides now playing each other every year now, though, has the gloss been taken off which was once the premier clash in world rugby? Do you think the gloss is slightly taken off it?
Absolutely. It's just another rugby test now. And it's such a shame because you look back over the years, I mean, to some of those old series, they're just great contests. And I mean, up until the last 10 years, games between the Springboks and the All Blacks were always 5, 6, 7 points, separating the two teams. I mean, now it's regular for one side to absolutely kill the other side.
Yeah, 42-38 or something, or 50 something. The 50 to block up at North Harbour Stadium not that long ago. I think it has taken off the gloss, but with COVID and with things in the last couple of years, I think this will be a good test match, to be fair. I think the 100th test match, of course, the Springboks are the world champs. They have lost twice to Australia in the last couple of weeks, which was very surprising. So they're perhaps not at the top of the game, but whenever the Springboks play the All Blacks, they always bring their top game, don't they? They always raise their levels a little bit, and I'm quite looking forward to this. I'm quite looking forward to seeing the All Blacks play the South Africans, but I agree. We need to play them maybe once. I mean, look, once. I think a tour maybe once in between the World Cups. Once every 4 years, we go to South Africa or they come here would be perfect. In between, the 2 years in between, we get rid of the championship altogether. And maybe in between those other 2 years, we play Australia. There's an idea. Or England, or someone else tours here.
Oh,
I don't know.
I mean, because then you factor Lions series into that as well.
Absolutely.
So you have
a major tour every year.
The World Cup one year, then we play South Africa the following year. Then there's a Lions tour to either South Africa here or Australia.
Then we play Australia.
We play the Wallabies. And then there's another World Cup.
And then there's a World Cup. Exactly. And we're constantly playing an A grade. There's an A grade. And then in between there, we could tour, the islands, or we could tour South America. South America.
Yep.
We could go to Europe. I mean, there are other ways. I think, especially when the IRB is always constantly talking about this global calendar, and yet we've still got these 2 seasons trying to run currently. Why don't we combine it a little bit and make tours more of a thing?
Quite right. Anyway, we'll talk more about that test a little later on when we cover off code.
Rugby.
Moving our attention to football now.
Go on.
Are football pundits and the media sleeping on Liverpool's title contention? The Reds' win over Palace on the weekend was announced on the news as Liverpool stay unbeaten and temporarily sit top of the league, whereas Chelsea's win on the next day was met with Chelsea shows its title credentials with a crushing win over Spurs. What do the Reds need to do to be taken seriously as title contenders? I actually think they're already doing it.
I was going to say I don't think they care.
Yeah,
I don't think they care that no one considers them title contenders. They'll be there or thereabouts at the end of the year, at the end of the season, no doubt about it. And we've started with a hiss and a roar. Actually, the results between Chelsea and Liverpool: week 1, Liverpool win 3-0, Chelsea win 3-0. Week 2, Liverpool win 2-0, Chelsea win 2-0. Week 3, Liverpool and Chelsea draw 1-1. Week 4, Liverpool win 3-0, Chelsea win 3-0. Week 5, Liverpool win 3-0, Chelsea win 3-0. Pretty much neck and neck at the moment, aren't we, mate? It's identical results. Yeah, I don't think we care, mate. I mean, it's obviously because we haven't purchased a lot of players, but we've held on to what we've got. We've talked about this ad infinitum, mate. We've got a very, very good team, and they're playing as a team. And we've got Klopp at the wheel, not Ole, who's got no idea. So regardless of all the talent they've got at Man United and all the brand new sparkly toys they've got at Chelsea and City, I don't have a problem, mate. I think I'm happy to be flying under the radar until we're leading the Premiership by 10 points at Christmas, and then everyone goes, "Oh shit, what happened here?" Liverpool are in. Fine with me.
Quite right. Anyways, some big clashes coming up in the Premier League over a couple of weeks, with Man City visiting Stamford Bridge to play Chelsea, with a clash at Anfield against Liverpool the following week. And just to make it even harder for Pep Guardiola and his boys, midweek they play Paris Saint-Germain in Paris. So 3 big away games. Is it too early to say these games could make or break City's season?
It probably is a little bit too early, but man, they need a striker. If there's been any reason why they didn't get Harry Kane other than the money, I mean, they should have. I mean, yeah, and Harry Kane's not scoring a lot of goals either, but they need a striker, and it's fairly plain to see, don't you think? I mean, it's going to be interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing when they play Paris Saint-Germain, though. Messi's been kind of average over there, which is kind of strange, isn't it? And but yeah, man, it's really heating up the Premier League, the Champions League. I still just think City will start purring. You know they will. They had a similar start last year.
They did,
De Bruyne was injured at the beginning of this year. Came on during that League Cup final and just looked amazing. They've just got too much talent to not be looked at, mate, as a perennial title contender for me. But I just love seeing them sort of when Wickham scored the first goal in the League Cup. I think get in there. Yeah.
Another small crowd too at the empty head.
Oh. And he's getting quite a bit of grief about it now, isn't he, Guardiola?
He is. I think he's justified.
He's got a bloody good point, though, hey man. They're playing some bloody good football, and no one wants to go watch them. So, there is talk about the tickets are too much and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, they could give them away. I mean, why? I don't understand. Especially when you see at the League Cup, Ronaldo didn't play at Old Trafford, and they play West Ham, and they get 70-something thousand at Old Trafford for a League Cup match without Ronaldo.
Yeah,
which they lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's obviously not a problem at Man United. It's definitely not a problem at Liverpool. It's not a problem at Chelsea. Don't know what's going on at City, mate. I guess they're just plastic fans, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Who was it that made a couple of comments on our Facebook page last week?
Lee Moores. Yeah, good on you, Lee.
Good on you, Lee.
He's a dyed-in-the-wool Mancunian blue side fan. Good lad, Lee.
It's good stuff, Lee. I'm pleased to see that we're heating your house free of charge.
Quite right.
It's a long season ahead, though, Lee. A long season.
It certainly is.
Okay, what else is happening in the football, mate? It seems like the Premier League refs were just biding their time before the dreaded VAR would strike fear throughout the league and cause havoc amongst the players. 3 horrific decisions over the weekend where blatant penalties were turned over or awarded after the video refs intrusion. Southampton had an improbable win snatched from them after City's Kyle Walker took down Saints' Adam Armstrong. That was bizarre. That was weird. And then... oh, no, you better have a look at this one. Oh, he might have just taken him from the side. What? He still knocked him over.
Exactly.
And then they changed the decision, which is just weird.
Oh, it's beyond me.
And obviously wasn't the crowd affecting things there. While Burnley and Leicester also suffered from the VAR jitters with a dead set penalty taken away from Burnley, one awarded against Leicester's Jannik Vestergaard for handball when he was being dragged down by the Brighton player. He was actually being pulled down. And
he was.
It was... oh. So, yeah, once again, it looks like the first few rounds looked good, mate, but now the controversies come back. What are the refs doing? Can't they just leave things alone?
Absolutely. That, as you say, that Kyle Walker completely took out Armstrong and was nowhere near the ball.
No.
How John Moss, the referee, saw what?
Well, he gave the penalty. He
gave
gave
the
it.
penalty, yeah.
So he saw it.
He saw it. And then when he looked at the replay, it's like,
Obviously,
no, there's some doubt there.
So to me, the person in the ear, see, because we can't hear, so we're just speculating. But it must be the guy in the ear going, okay, I think you may have made an incorrect decision here. You have to go and check the video monitor. So it's obviously the directive from the person in the ear, and he's told him at that stage that you may have made a mistake.
But that's not the VAR's job. The VAR's job is for blatant and obvious errors. That's not a blatant and obvious error. Come on.
I know. But once again, it's the human error getting in the way. You know, it's the people, it's the stupid people behind the scenes. It is not the VAR's fault. It is actually the way it's being implemented. So they just need to get people in the box, the people that are actually the VAR people. It needs to be like, I mean, I know, look, I'm a rugby league guy, and the bunker's not perfect, but at least they've got a couple of people in there that are, a little bit more experienced. And, I don't know, you just got to have a player in there somewhere or someone to give you some perspective.
I just think on their arrival to work that day, they just need a shot of Valium in their arm, calm them down.
True. Yes. There's nothing to see here, I mean,
it's not blatant and it's not obvious.
If he had not have given the penalty, I would not have had a problem with him then saying, okay, you may have to review this because you may have got it wrong. What about you?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. If it had been the other way around, I wouldn't have had a problem with him going to review on the side of the pitch, because I believe that he got it right the first time. So he would have got it wrong. It's almost reverse engineered itself there.
It has. I mean, there's absolutely 100% Walker took out Armstrong.
100%.
And anywhere else on the field, it would have been a free kick and nobody would have complained.
No. Yeah, I don't understand. No,
but just because it's inside that 18-yard white line.
Oh, and it's Manchester City.
And it's Manchester City in front of 13,000 people.
Yeah, don't forget that.
Yeah.
Mate. Once again, the VAR. I thought we'd nearly got through this. I thought at the beginning of the season, we got crowds back, and the refs seem to be making a little bit more common sense. But no, it had to happen eventually. Let's just hope they sort it out.
Quite right. Anyway, Liverpool leads through to the next round of the Carabao Cup, beating Norwich 3-0 with the B team. While Man United and Everton crash out. Hard luck, boys. Liverpool draws Preston North End in the next round. And Jurgen Klopp has promised Liverpool fans that they want to compete in all 4 competitions they're in this year. So that would be good to see a good competitive effort. And, I mean, it's silverware, isn't it?
Absolutely, mate. And it's the backup players that are shining in these. I mean, you look at Minamino, played really well, scored 2 goals. Origi, he's looking like he's actually on form. We were really worried about him. No one came in for him. He scored a goal, played well. Tsimikas looking the business. A couple of young guys at Connor Bradley in midfield. The right back, I can't remember what his name was.
That was Connor Bradley.
Oh, Connor Bradley. He's the Northern Ireland guy, isn't he? The first Northern Irish guy to play for Liverpool for like 60 years or so. And then there was the young midfielder as well, and of course Kay Gordon. Oh my God, 16 years old. This kid could be anything, couldn't he? I mean,
what were you doing at 16, Aaron?
Dreaming of playing for Liverpool, but I can't tell you, mate. This is a G-rated show, but no, it was certainly not playing for Liverpool, mate. They looked impressive. They looked really impressive.
The guy that really impressed me was the boy that came on in midfield, Tyler Morton.
He's the guy.
So comfortable on the ball.
He played 45 minutes, didn't he? He came on for Naby Keita, and because Naby Keita was playing the holding midfield role, not natural for him, I thought.
No.
This kid looked like he was to the manner born. He was like Steven Gerrard back there, playing quarterback, pinging long passes. He could, honestly, I mean, this is why I love the Carabao Cup too, man. You get to see these young guys coming through, don't you? First glimpse of Curtis Jones a couple of years ago, all that sort of, it's great. It's great to see the young guys coming through. Liverpool looking impressive, and I would love to see us go on a cup run. We haven't been anywhere near it since 2012, have we? So it's been way too long. So Be great
and
to
we've
see
actually
us.
got a decent draw. We haven't drawn Chelsea.
I know.
Arsenal in the next round.
I was expecting to see Chelsea. I thought,
Oh,
here we go.
Yeah.
But no,
the
we
other
got
one
Preston
put in
North
another
End.
impressive performance was Kwame Kelleher, the goalkeeper. Great penalty save.
Absolutely, man. How do you say his name?
Kwame.
It's an Irish name, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. No, impressive performance by all those young guys. Yeah, he looks great. He looks a lot. He makes me feel a lot more confident than when Allison is in goal. Let me put it that way. Not Allison, Adrian. When he's Allison's Adrian Allison. Yeah, look. Yeah, Adrian. He's instills me with a lot more confidence than Adrian.
Anyway, your old mate West Ham's David Moyes.
Ever since I started bagging him, he's doing so well.
Took a leaf out of the Gareth Southgate playbook, bringing captain Mark Noble off the bench in injury time to take a penalty, only for Man United keeper David De Gea to save it, a la European Championships.
Did he not watch the Euros?
Obviously not.
The thing is, this is a little bit different, though, isn't it? It is a little bit different.
A little bit, but
the fact, yeah, I wouldn't have done it, but the fact that for these aren't teenagers, he's bringing off the bench, right? Mm. He is by far, Mark Noble slotted something like 20-something penalties in a row. He hadn't missed one for years. The fact that De Gea hasn't saved a penalty for years. There was no one on the field other than Declan Rice that's actually ever taken a penalty. So there are reasons for it. I still would have, someone on the field surely should have taken the penalty. But I think it was a little bit better than Gareth Southgate's thinking. But still, it was wrong because they lost, didn't they? But of course, Moyes got his revenge, didn't he? Because they went back to the old toilet and collected the win in the Carabao Cup. So good on West Ham there and forever blowing bubbles.
Yes, a great result for West Ham in the Carabao Cup. Yes, good luck to them, whoever though, can't remember. Oh, they got Man City in the next
They
round.
have Man City, yeah. Well, so that would have been a Manchester derby if
it would have been.
Had a one. So
yeah, no, it wouldn't have been a Manchester derby because Liverpool would have got one of them.
Oh, true. Yeah, that's true. Another Kiwi's making a name for himself in England, mate. Goalkeeper Nick Sanev having an outstanding game against Arsenal for AFC Wimbledon in the Carabao Cup. While the Gunners won the match 3-0, Sanev received high praise from his coach, Mark Robinson, and is now the club's top keeper, having been awarded a new 3-year deal earlier this month. What do you know about this guy?
Oh, I don't know a heck of a lot. He's played one game for the All Whites. But yeah, he's a quality keeper, and we've actually got some really good keepers, young keepers around at the moment. The guy that played in the Olympics, his name's gone from me at the moment. He had two really good games, obviously made a couple of errors in the game against Honduras, but he's a good keeper. Stefan Marinovic is still a very good keeper. And
Ollie Sale?
Ollie Sale, the Phoenix's goalkeeper, is still around. But yeah, this guy, Nick Sanev, is apparently he's the goods. And yeah, as I say, he's the club's top keeper now. So all the best to him, and hope it carries on. And yeah, just another Kiwi doing well on the world stage.
Absolutely, it's kind of crazy we don't have more goalkeepers. To be fair, it's not it's I can understand the technical skills of being an outfield player. Obviously, New Zealand is a smaller thing. We don't have the big coaches and all that sort of thing. But you would have thought. Big, we're quite a big race, and we're good with our hands generally, and hands and balls. You'd think that we would produce more good keepers.
Yeah, Michael Wood is the other keeper.
Michael Wood, thank you, Michael Wood. Yeah, Wood. But I mean, Richard Wilson back in the day, Frank Van Hatten.
Oh, Richard Wilson,
the
keeper that got us to the World Cup and never played a minute.
Never played a game. I felt so sorry for him. He saved that penalty against Kuwait as well. Remember?
Yep.
Richard Wilson.
He actually, when I was growing up in Nelson, he was played a couple of seasons for Nelson United and worked in the local sports shop.
Oh yeah.
Nelson. I used to quite often pop in and have a chat with Richard. He was a bloody good guy. And,
nice.
He would talk to anybody. He was a prick on the field.
Well, he's a keeper. Keepers are weird. They're their own. They're their own sorts, aren't they? They're a special type of people.
Special breed.
They are.
But he suffered from the that long-held football disease of white line fever.
Oh, yes.
Once you cross the white line, you turn into a different person.
There's
plenty of those around.
Been a few of those. Who was the other keeper? The guy who was a bit of a madman with the shaved head in the sort of 90s, early 2000s. Michael Utting. There you go. Thank you.
Mm.
He was crazy as a cut snake too, wasn't he, mate?
He certainly was. Unfortunately, he's not in great health at the moment, Michael.
Oh, isn't he?
Yeah, we hope that he gets himself sorted out and back on the road to health. And
absolutely,
I know he's coaching a kids' football team somewhere in the lower North Island. I can't remember where, but
okay, best wishes,
Michael Utting, and best wishes to him.
Mm. All right, shall we move to rugby union, mate? The code.
We've got a bit of A-League news first.
Okay, go on.
It's finally been confirmed for the A-League and Women's W League, and it appears the Phoenix will get quite a few double headers involving the men's and women's teams in the draw for the first few rounds just released the other day.
Oh, yeah.
The teams will be based in New South Wales for the start of the competitions. November 19 is the start date for both of them. And the hope is that come the new year, at least the A-League team may be able to relocate to Wellington, with the W League team staying in Australia but travelling back on the odd occasion for a home game. So how good would that be?
That'd be awesome. But let's just get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Let's just make sure it gets done. We talked about this last year. We sort of said, maybe we'll have a game at the end of the year. Just never happened. So, no, that would be great. I mean, it's good that, for me, it's just great that we've got teams in those competitions, right? You know, that it's going ahead, that we've got teams, that they're going to play them regardless. Whether we can get back here and see some live football in New Zealand, wouldn't that be great? But if Absolutely. We can't and we have to watch it all on TV, at least we've got some live footy to watch and teams from New Zealand competing in that.
And please put the Phoenix home games on at 7 o'clock New Zealand time.
Absolutely.
It's annoying having to watch the All Black games when they were supposed to be played here, being played at bloody 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, I don't.
Though this week's test is at 7 o'clock, so that's
we are just such a minor partner when it comes to TV. It's just like, we got 4 million over there. Nah, they can wait. Don't worry about them.
The irony of last week's games, though, that there was more in Suncorp Stadium for the All Blacks versus Argentina than there was for the curtain raiser.
The Wallabies game. Yeah, and you did notice a few Wallabies staying behind. Watching the All Blacks. Wouldn't that be great though, going and watching 2 test matches at once? I mean, that's
absolutely,
why not do that more? I mean, no, that'd be fantastic, especially once COVID's over. Give us some live sport. Give us a festival of it.
Right. We need to host the next 2 rugby championships.
Absolutely, and the NRL,
and the NFL.
Hey, yes, please.
The All Blacks have named their strongest possible squad for this week's 100th Test in South Africa. With the Springboks have made 5 changes to their team that lost in consecutive weeks to Australia. Frontliners Cody Taylor, Brodie Retallick, Akira Ioane, Luke Jacobson, and Nepo Laulala return. In the forwards with skipper Ardie Savea, Joe Moody, and Scott Barrett retaining their spots in the pack, while David Havili and Bowden Barrett join the backs alongside TJ Perinara, Rico Ioane, Will Jordan, George Bridge, and Geordie Barrett, who all keep their spots from last week's win over Argentina. Interesting call in the loose forwards. Luke Jacobson has been playing some bloody good rugby on it and really has deserved that spot.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's tough. What did you think of the young hooker last week?
Oh, I thought he was outstanding.
Jeez, just every time he got
explosive, isn't he?
Oh, dude, I was just like, I mean, I've seen him play in the Super Rugby.
Yeah,
but he just looked next. He looked like Kevin Mialamu Part 2, didn't he?
A young Kevin Mialamu.
Yeah, just powerful and built low to the ground.
Going right back, I don't know. You wouldn't be too young to remember. Hicker the hooker from Nonga.
Oh, absolutely. Hicker Reid. Can't forget that try he scored at the Sydney Cricket Ground in 1981. Woohoo!
When he just about took a spectator out.
Absolutely. Agreed. He is. He was. Oh, mate, he was a great hooker. Absolutely. No, I really was impressed by a lot of the younger guys last week. Luke Jacobson, yes, you're right. He is a comer, but I suppose they want to pick our top team, especially in the forwards, especially against the box.
Yeah.
You got to have your heavy hitters there. They're going to, I mean, especially in the forwards, mate? They're just going to bash us. So, yeah, I think fair enough. I think that's fair enough. What do you think about Bowden coming back? And
yeah, I think that was always going to happen. I'm a little disappointed. Brad Weber didn't get the start at halfback.
I think he deserved to go.
He's just got that little edge on Perinara in regards to getting the ball clear.
I agree.
Also, he's got great pace around the base of the ruck as well.
He doesn't do as good a haka though, so you can't have him. Will Jordan last week, man. I nearly said on last week's pod, I've never seen him play a game where he didn't score a try.
Well, he did, but it got taken off.
I know. We had 4 or 5 tries taken off us last week.
Yeah.
But yeah, Will Jordan's just getting better and better. Keep him in the team. I'm looking. I thought our loose forwards played pretty well last week, though, as well. Didn't you think?
I thought Hoskins-Tutu was outstanding.
Hoskins Tutu. Just giving us that go forward off the back of the scrum makes such a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to see Satutu at number 8 and Jacobson in the number 6, but at the moment you can't leave Akira Ioane out.
No,
he's playing too well. But we've seen it before from Akira. He'll play good for a period, and then he just sort of takes it a bit for granted and buttons off.
Maybe a little bit. Yeah, but I'm hoping he's through that. I'm hoping he's through that. I'm hoping he's becoming the next incarnation of someone like Jerome Kaino, because he's got the potential to be that, hasn't he?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that back three. Whoa, Geordie Barrett, George Bridge, and Will Jordan. It's
the Argies just didn't learn. The Argies just didn't learn last week, did they?
No.
They just kept kicking it to our back three, and it was like every time a coconut. It was like ridiculous. We were just making so many meters. Our let's be honest, mate. Fullbacks and wingers, the All Blacks have never got a problem at fullback and winger, do we?
Oh, no, absolutely. And the selectors have listened to us. They put Damien McKenzie on the bench.
Yep, perfect.
For his impact. I think his impact in the second half will be huge.
To be fair, he played really well at first 5. I thought he controlled the game well. Yep, he I think he perhaps he held himself back a little bit. He just played the percentages a bit more than he normally does. So I was happy to see the way that he played there. But I think that was more sort of for the selectors to say, okay, if first 5 gets injured, maybe we can slot him in there. He's got so much versatility. He's perfect for the bench, isn't he?
Quite right.
Yep.
Now, Fiji Drua has indicated they believe they can make the 8-team playoffs in next year's Super Rugby competition. Well, it's not hard, is it, from a 12-team comp? After signing their first batch of players this week, Fiji Drua's playoff hopes are based on the depth of players available to them, according to the team's interim CEO, Brian Thorburn, who says, while it's hard to predict and he doesn't want to put a goal out there that can't be reached, but with the competition's design, gives them a good chance of qualifying. You got to agree with them, really.
Of course you do. Finish in the top 2/3 and you're in the playoffs. So
yeah, you win 4 games and you're in the quarterfinals.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't they be confident? You got to be confident first, and you got to also drum up a bit of support in Fiji for the team. So good on them.
I mean, you look at teams that get promoted from championship to the premiership. I mean, their first goal is to avoid relegation, but there's no relegation in Super Rugby. So
what have they got
the
to
next
lose?
best thing is qualify for the playoffs.
I think where the Fiji or Drua are going to struggle as the forwards. I mean, Christ, mate, they've got great backs. They're always going to score great tries, but are they going to get enough ball? I mean, are they going to go out there and purchase a couple of props from South Africa or Argentina or get someone like that to play for them? Or are they just going to be all sort of Fijians all wanting to play on the wing? So for me, that's going to be the challenge for the Drua is the forwards.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see who ends up in the Pacifica. Moana Pacifica.
It is. Have you heard any whispers?
No, not yet. No.
Nothing.
I guess it'll happen more around sort of late October, November when the Super Rugby sides are all starting to come together.
Yeah, well, we'll keep a lookout on that, and we'll keep you posted anyway, won't we?
Quite right. New Zealand rugby refs admit they got a big call wrong in last week's NPC clash between Waikato and Canterbury. Waikato's Fletcher Smith was denied a second crack at a last-minute conversion after Canterbury had mistaken Smith's set-up sidestep as a cue to race up to him, causing Smith to miss. And despite a long conversation with the video ref, the decision stood and the Red and Blacks were handed a 2019 win. As a Red and Blacks fan, gee, hard luck.
But I was going to say, bloody typical. It's always the Cantabs, isn't it?
It was a rubbish decision.
It's just ridiculous. No, it doesn't surprise me, though. The Cantabs always seem to get the rub of the green.
Here we go.
Always. Hey, come on. How much are you paying them? Ridiculous.
Not enough.
Former Irish rugby star Brendan Mullen has appeared in a Dublin court accused of stealing almost $1 million from a bank while he was a director. The 57-year-old, obviously he didn't do it with a gun. He didn't go in and say, give me all your money. He did it the other way, the white collar way. The 57-year-old is facing multiple charges following a series of alleged thefts from the Bank of Ireland. Played 55 tests for Ireland, played 3 World Cups, and he also toured Australia with the British and Irish Lions in 1989. Naughty Brendan.
Yes. Not a good look at all from Mr. Mullen. He was a really, really good player, Brendan Mullen. Yep. I remember him quite vividly from back in the late 80s, early 90s. He was sort of a very similar player to Brian O'Driscoll, and O'Driscoll credits Brendan Mullen for the way he turned out as a rugby player. He was quite wiry, wasn't a big man, but just had the eye for a gap, and really sad to see that. And
had the eye for something else too, didn't he?
He certainly did. The eye for something that wasn't his.
Yes, it wasn't his. Brendan.
To be sure.
Hey, Spark Sport has got another one over Sky TV after gaining the rights to the new United Rugby Championship. Now, I've seen the ads for this, involving clubs from Scotland, Ireland, Wales, Italy, and South Africa. Funnily enough, it's a 16-team competition with one full round of 18 games. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What a way to run a comp. 9 home, 9 away. Wow. And the top 8 qualify for the quarterfinals. So I'll never catch on. Wow, what a great idea for a competition. One full round with no extra 3 games. A top 8 for 16-team comp. Amazing. I wonder whether they've got bonus points.
Yeah, well.
See, bonus points are another one of those things, man. Bonus points. Get rid of them.
Oh, take them or leave them.
Yeah.
Just a simple competition. Yeah. New Zealand rugby. See how it's done?
Yeah.
Stanza rugby, see how it's done? None of this bloody convoluted premiership, championship crossover games.
Yeah.
And super rugby with play each other once and then you play 3 other teams again.
And then we'll rotate that over a 6-year period so that every team over the 6 years gets a total amount of games home and away. No advantage total advantage for Canterbury. No advantage. Yeah. Look,
just does my head in.
It is, it's the whole KISS thing, mate. Keep it simple, stupid. And when the game, isn't it funny? When the game was amateur, it was more professionally run almost. You know, it was just a simple.
You're not wrong.
It was a simple system. Oh, there's the table. There's the top teams. They go up, play semi-finals, final. We know who wins. Now it just seems like, okay, and they've got the crossover game to come. They've got a bonus point there. They got that for doing that. They've got the bye points. We add them all up, subtract 2, divide by 3, and okay, they're still 5th because they are the 5th team in New Zealand. They can't make that. I'm sorry, we're going to have to divide by 2 and bring a South African team up there. Everyone happy? What's going on? I don't get it.
Here, careful, I'll mute you.
See, that's how it is, though. Almost. I mean, I know. Look, I'm being facetious, but it is almost like that, isn't it? It is.
It is.
It's just.
Let's make a simple competition overly complicated, so then nobody will understand how it works.
Yeah.
And we can just announce at the end of the competition who's won
and how successful it's all been.
Yeah.
And then pat each other on the back and do it all again next year.
So we've got 2 competitions, Super Rugby and the NPC.
Yes.
That are convoluted and nobody knows how they work. Yet United Rugby Championship, 1 competition, 1, 2, 3, 5 countries.
Yep.
And it's a simple 16-team 9 home, 9 away game competition.
Can't be done, never catch on. No. Can't be. Oh, Jesus, mate. Yeah, exactly. No.
Anyway, I've had enough of rugby this week.
Okay, let's go to the Rugby League, mate, because just like that, it's down to 4 teams left in the hunt for
Holy cow!
Holy cow, shut the gate. 2021 NRL Premiership after the Roosters and the Eels were eliminated last weekend. I must say, first of all, massive apologies for kicking you $10 to the tax for the TAV, telling you to get on those. Oh, mate, what could I do? No, I mean, who knew that Tommy Turbo was going to run right like that? He had a rear-off night the week before, didn't he? But he returned with a vengeance.
Yeah, when I put money on him that week.
Mate.
I'm not back in any rugby league this week.
That's the way it is. It is a tough sport to pick, man. I mean, against the Roosters, after Manly started strong and they strangled the life out of the poor old tired and injured Roosters, a brutal 42-6 carve up it was. Manly, after a 0-4 start to the season, they were right down the bottom of the table to start with. They're now one of the final 4 teams left in the comp, purring like a finely tuned rugby league machine. Through the grand final qualifier, they will take on Wayne Bennett and his Bunnies.
If I remember rightly,
yeah.
Didn't the Warriors play them when they were 0-4 and they were the first win of the season for
Yes,
Manly?
we got them off to a great start. They won with a drop goal in that game as well. So it was like, should never have lost that game. So, yeah, once again, the Warriors helping other teams through to the semi-final since 1995. Earlier this season, the Rabbits became the first team in the Premiership to score 30 points in 8 consecutive matches. Even without suspended fullback Latrell Mitchell, they managed to get the better of Penrith, the league's best defensive team, in the qualifying finals. The Seagulls were missing their talismanic fullback in the only previous meeting between these sides in 2021, with Souths prevailing 26-12 in round 2. But Manly are a much different side since then, making the clash particularly intriguing, given the prospect of a huge prize up for grabs. I am picking the Rabbits to make the grand final in a close one. So probably put your money on the Seagulls.
Yeah.
In the other semi-final, Penrith coach Ivan Cleary admitted his battered players would need to find their best form to overcome Melbourne and qualify for back-to-back grand finals. They narrowly edged out Parramatta 8-6 in a brutal semi-final clash in Mackay. Only 1 try each. It was like a return to the 1980s all over. It was defensive, just brutality. It was a great game, actually, for an 8-6 scoreline. It's the lowest scoring game for a number of years. The Panthers only scored 1 try in each of their 2 finals matches so far, but 40th minute Nathan Cleary penalty goal proved the difference in a gripping contest that left the shattered Eels preparing to return home, still waiting on that first premiership since 1986. So you think that the Warriors have been waiting a while? Try and support the Eels. 1986, they've been waiting since there's, of course, Ray Price days and Peter Sterling and all those guys.
Brett Kenny.
Absolutely. Some great players in their team back in the 80s. Cleary's men must now face the Storm at Suncorp Stadium, 6 p.m. tomorrow night, looking for revenge after having their 17-match winning streak ended by Melbourne in last year's grand final and losing only 3 games in the 2021 regular season. This promises to be the game of the season. It was going to be the grand final until the Panthers lost that earlier semi-final, of course.
Yeah.
I am reluctantly picking the Storm in this one, in a close one, although I'm going to be barracking for the Panthers. I'd say go the Panthers. I hope they can get revenge for last year, but I just think the Storm have just got too much. I think they'll be through to another grand final.
Yeah, the Panthers just run out a bit of steam.
Yeah, they have. I think they ran over a bit of steam probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago, but they have a number of players coming back for this game. The young centre, Teo, will be back for this game. He was going to be back in the previous game. He's the biggest meter eater in the competition, so he'll be back. Cleary was out for a number of weeks. He's only been back for a couple of weeks. He's looking a little bit rusty. I think he'll be a bit better for the run. Though it'll be a good game. But I just think the Storm are just so bloody clinical, aren't they?
Yeah.
They just don't lose these big games. But go Ivan and Nathan.
Yeah,
I'm barracking.
My picks. My head is saying Storm Rabbits. My heart is saying Panthers Sea Eagles.
I think that's probably fair enough. Yeah. That's probably fair enough too. I think you're probably right with your first ones. Yeah, your head picks. Stick with your head picks when you're backing on the rugby league. All right, the baseball, man. It's all been going on in the baseball. I've been watching quite a bit of this. Of course, I've been locked down, and you gave me your MLB baseball pass. So
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
I mean, is that illegal?
You got your own.
I'm sorry, I've been watching on an illegal stream. No, sorry, a completely legal stream with pop-ups from all over the place. Reading every ad.
Quite right.
Mate, it is going off in the baseball. It looks like there might have to be a game 163 to find out that wild card winner.
It could be. Firstly, just letting you know, Tampa Bay and the White Sox are the first teams to qualify for the playoffs in the American League. In the National League, we've already seen San Francisco and Dodgers book their places, and they've been joined by the Milwaukee Brewers this week. I'll tell you about the real team coming at everybody at the moment.
St. Louis.
But in the American League East, Tampa have already clinched that, a playoff spot. Boston 6 games behind, New York 8 games behind, Toronto 8.5 games behind, which all goes back to the wild card. Just 2.5 games separating Boston and Toronto for 2 spots, with the Yankees sandwiched in the middle there. They've had a better week this week.
They have.
They've won 3 in a row, and mind you, they were only playing Texas. So who are going to lose 100 games this season, who we've already seen Baltimore and the Arizona Diamondbacks already lose 100. They'll probably be joined by Pittsburgh and, as I say, Texas in the coming weeks. Just less than 2 weeks to go in the regular season. Man, it's tight all the way.
It is,
And in the American League West, Houston have pretty much got that wrapped up. They should qualify for the playoffs in the next couple of days. They're 8 games ahead of Seattle.
Yeah.
The National League, this is the interesting one. Atlanta, 2.5 games ahead of Philly. That one could be tight to see who gets through there.
Hello.
Milwaukee has won the Central, but
sorry, mate, you cut out a little bit there. What was that? You just broke up.
Milwaukee's won the Central. Will win the Central, I should say. But St. Louis Cardinals, they've won 12 games on the trot now.
12 in a row.
12 in a row. They have just obliterated everybody in the National League wild card.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about San Diego being so close to the Dodgers a couple of weeks ago, but that's blown out big time.
I saw in a really interesting stat on ESPN yesterday on SportsCenter. They said that before St. Louis went into that, how many games in a row have they won now? 13. Before they started their run streak, they had a 10% chance of making the playoffs. Now, 13 games later, they've got a 98% chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah.
13 games later. That's crazy.
They hold a 5-game lead over the next in line, Cincinnati and Philadelphia. So
it just shows you, you go on a tear near the end of the season and everything can change.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
So, it looks like the Dodgers, either the Dodgers or the Giants will have the home game for the Wild Card.
Who?
And St. Louis will.
Who's going to have the home games? Just one team goes ahead, the other one goes. It's been like this, hasn't it? It's been
the last 10 games. San Francisco is 7-3, and the Dodgers are 8-2.
There you go.
Just separated by one game.
Crazy.
And they've just finished a really good series earlier in the week up in San Francisco. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Baseball. So. Yeah, it's the exciting time of the season. Obviously, as a Yankees fan, I think they've got 9 games left.
Mm-hmm.
3 against Boston, 3 against Toronto, and 3 against Tampa, all interdivisional games. I reckon the Yankees of those 9 games, the Yankees are going to have to win 6 to qualify for the wild card.
Well, they're capable, but
they're definitely capable. But they're going to have to win.
Boston are looking great.
Yeah, they're going to have to take 2 of the 3 games in each of those 3 series.
And the Boston series is away, isn't it?
It's in Boston. The Toronto series is in Toronto. And they finish off with the 3-game series at Yankee Stadium against the Rays. So
it's a tough run in, man.
Ooh, yeah.
I did notice something, though. 29 seasons, straight winning seasons for the New York Yankees.
Yep, they've had another winning season.
It's been a long time since they had a losing season.
2014, they got very close. I think they had a 84 79, 78 season, which, yeah, and it wasn't until that last week that they nailed down a winning season.
So what happened in 1992?
Yeah.
What happened that year? Who got sacked? Someone got sacked.
The manager got sacked. And I tell you what, if the Yankees miss out on playoffs this year, Aaron Boone, the Yankees manager, I think is going to be looking for another job.
Yeah, fair enough.
He got handed a fantastic roster at the beginning of the season, but just hasn't been able to get the best out of the team. I mean, last year's MVP, DJ LeMahieu, who won the batting title, has just been awful this year. Just signed a new 6-year deal, and he's gone from being a 360 hitter to a 270 hitter. That's 90 points off his batting average.
Yeah.
Gleyber Torres is another one. He's hit 38 homers 2 years ago in 2019 and has just not been hitting. He's actually been hitting recently, which has been great because he's been moved back from shortstop to second base, which is his better position. He would prefer to play shortstop, but he's better at second base. But the pitching staff is improving for the Yankees. They're getting some of their top pitchers back. Domingo Germán is back off the IL. He's coming out of the bullpen. Luis Severino, I should say, he's back in the bullpen. Pitched a couple of fantastic innings the other day against Texas, and was great to see him back on the mound after nearly 2 years out. Jamison Tyone, who was pitching awesome in the mid-season, went down with an injury. He's throwing in a AAA game today, I think, and will be back with the Yankees lineup. Some of those big pieces that they have missed over the last, definitely a couple of years with Severino, with Germán and Tyone coming back, can only strengthen the bullpen, which has been what's been letting the Yankees down over the last few weeks.
Joey Gallo's been hitting, though, finally.
Yeah, Joey Gallo. He's
finally.
Over the last, I think it was 16 games, he's hitting 300, and he's hit something like 10 home runs. And,
yeah, he had to come right eventually, didn't he? He's just too good. Yeah. Absolutely.
And Aaron Judge is just having an absolutely MVP caliber season, but he won't even get anywhere near of the MVP voting because of
it'll be Vlad.
Guerrero, Joey Ohtani.
Vlad Guerrero just doesn't stop, mate. At the moment.
And Salvador Perez has broken the MLB record for home runs in a season by a catcher.
Crazy, eh?
Broke the record previously held by the great Johnny Bench.
That's right.
The greatest catcher ever to play the game.
Yeah.
Unless you're a Yankees fan and everyone thinks that's Yogi Berra.
Yeah, well, Yogi definitely had the best turn of phrase.
Certainly did.
You come to a fork in the road, take it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 90% of the game is half mental.
I love the Yogi Berraisms.
Yeah, he's great. Now, on to Kiwi news. Following his MVP caliber season with Great Falls Voyagers in independent ball, Kiwi Jason Matthews has been offered a 3-year deal to stay in Montana, and it does contain a clause releasing him should be wanted by an MLB franchise. He spoke to County Sports Hub's Dale Budge, a friend of our show, this week, and Matthews has also stated an interest in returning to New Zealand at some stage to play for the Tuatara in next year's ABL.
Awesome.
So that's great news for Jace. He's been in America for 5 years, hasn't been home. I think he's been home once in that 5-year or nearly 6-year spell. And the boy's starting to get a wee bit of an American twang.
Fair enough. I mean, that's tough for someone to go along that young to be away for that long, isn't it? You know. I mean, we all take it for granted, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, you want to make it good, but these are young men and young women traveling around the world, living out of suitcases in a lot of cases and a long way away from their families. So it's amazing the sort of success he's got, and I just wish him all the best. And wouldn't it be great if we did come back and play for the Tuatara?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. With minor league seasons pretty much now over, Kiwi pitcher Kyle Goligowski will look back on 2021 as an opportunity to revitalise, having missed over 3 months of the season with a right elbow strain. After starting the season at AAA, just one step away from the majors, Kyle went back to AA, then suffered the injury in May and only returned for a handful of innings with the Phillies FCL rookie side. Ben Thompson's season is over too, and he'll reflect on a good start to 2021, but then some inconsistency came into his game, which he'll need to work on next year, and I'm sure he will. And Elliot Johnston will finally get his first outings in the upcoming Instructional League over the next month or so. So that's about it from baseball.
Awesome.
Keep your eyes on the standings and on MLB TV and on ESPN, and because it's the
heating
time
up.
of the season. It's the fun time.
It's heating up. So, Macca, if just get this straight, if the Yankees and the Red Sox both have an identical record at the end of the season, they're going to have a one-game playoff. Is that right? To see who the wild card winner is and who the top of the person is at the top of the team is at the top of the division. Is that right?
Yeah,
they'll have
right,
one.
right.
So the team that loses
playoff.
goes into the team that wins goes into the playoffs. The team that loses goes into the wild card. Is that right?
They're both going for the wild card.
Okay, so they're both going for the wild card. This is so confusing. It's just so close. So,
well, I mean, the way it is at the moment,
because Tampa Bay are at the top, right? So they've definitely got the playoff spot.
They've got the division spot.
Yep.
It's
yep.
now down to 3 teams.
Yep.
Vying for 2 wild card spots.
Toronto, Boston, and New York.
Yep. And it could end up that
with all 3 of them. What happens if all 3 have the same record?
Well, there'll be a couple of playoffs.
It's just nuts. You have 162 games and you can't separate them.
Yep, it's happened before too.
It's just
where 3 teams have finished equal for the wild card spot.
Add another 100 games to the season or something.
Exactly. Yeah, try and separate. It's bonkers.
It is madness that you
after a 162 game season.
No, that's just.
And that's why I love it.
Yeah, me too, mate. Me too. All right, what's going on in other sports around the world, mate? The Ryder Cup is kicking off this weekend, isn't it? And for the first time, a long time, neither Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson will be lining up on the first tee. Woods is still recovering from his car crash earlier this year. Not his life, an actual car crash. While Mickelson will be at Whistling Straits. He's only there as a non-playing assistant captain role, though. For the US, Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau will need to put their differences aside. I did see them chatting on the practice tees. It didn't look like they weren't coming to blows, so I suppose that's a good thing. If the US are going to have a chance of winning, those two are going to have to put their differences aside, while John Rahm and Rory McIlroy will lead the Europeans' efforts to retain the cup that they won in Paris 3 years ago. I always enjoy the Ryder Cup.
Oh, look, I'm not a big golf fan, as you know. But yeah, watching these 2 powerhouses in golf come together and play it out over a 4 or 5 day tournament, it's fun to watch. And
it is.
It's so great when you see the US team celebrating with a day to go that we're going to win, we're the champions, and then Europe come from behind and
absolutely. It's almost test match golf, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's great. It's a team sport. It makes golf a team sport, and of course you get the old. It's a bit more in your face as well with the putts going, well, especially the Americans and the crowds and everything as well. I just think it just changes golf to that sort of quite quaint pastime to more of a spectator sport.
Yeah.
I really like it. Really like
the. Now, from the I didn't see that coming file. Allegations and counter allegations carry on amongst the schoolboys running the America's Cup. And it's almost 100% certain it won't be held in Auckland now after Grant Dalton called Mark Dunphy a name, and Dunphy responded by blowing a raspberry. Of course, we're joking, but from the outside, one of sport's oldest trophies is being handled as well as 2 kids in a school playground, and this podcast shouldn't give a hoot about its future.
It's just, why does it always have to end so litigiously? It's like, it's money, isn't it? It's money.
Oh,
it's money just makes the sport dirty.
Money and power.
Because when it's actually being raced, it's actually quite a cool thing to watch.
Oh, it is.
But I just can't be stuffed with all the bollocks in between. And as much as I want it in New Zealand, with everything that's going on with COVID and everything at the moment, is it really a priority? Who gives a damn? Go and race it in Dubai. Well,
and as I say, it's one of sport's oldest trophies. Come on, let's treat it with a bit more respect.
I reckon. Everyone treat each other with respect. That's the thing. I mean, we are the America's Cup champions. People should treat us with respect, but we need to treat them with respect equally as well, surely.
Absolutely.
Hello.
Yes, quite right.
Are you there?
Still there. Yes, still there.
Oh, okay.
And also from the I'm the boss, so I'll do what I like file.
Yes.
Suriname Vice President Ronnie Brunswijk has made his professional football debut at the age of 60 after turning out for Inter Moengo Tapo in an international club match against Honduras side Olympia.
There's hope for me.
League. The club owner inserted himself into the lineup, making him the world's oldest professional football player. Brunswick played 54 minutes up front alongside his son before being subbed without a shot on target, and his presence on the pitch didn't help his team going down 6-0.
Well, if you got the money, why not?
It's my team. I'll do what I bloody like with it.
Absolutely. And next week, we're going to play against a bunch of kids so I can score a couple of goals. I love stories like that. Hey, mate, just something that I did notice. I didn't put it in our rundown, but I did notice this during the week. The change to the cricket's terminology, changed from batsman to batter, is a positive move to ensure the game becomes accessible to all participants, says White Ferns all-rounder and commentator Frankie Mackay. On Thursday, the MCC, the custodians to the game's laws, doomed the team batsman to be done away with in order to see it replaced with the gender-neutral batter. I know there are some people out there that have said it's a deterrent to playing, a barrier to playing, she said. For us and all the MCC as well, I think it's really awesome that they've recognised there are barriers in place. What do you make of this? Now, careful.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, even the women commentators commentating on the women's game call them batsmen. So is it really something that we need to focus on?
No. And it's like, the best actor at the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't say actress. Do we still say actress? Or is it just, are they all actors? I'm sorry, Frankie. If you don't want to play cricket, if your little girl doesn't want to play cricket because they're calling them batsmen, oh, mummy, I don't want to play cricket because only people that bat are batsmen. What the hell's wrong with your little girl in the first place? Surely she wants to go out there and hit the ball and play cricket, doesn't give a shit about whether she's called a batsman or a batter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pathetic. I'm sorry, Frankie. I mean, I know that's probably the non-PC thing to say, but I just think you're taking it way too far. Call them whatever you want. Call them the guy with the toothpick in his hand, or the woman with it, or the gender-neutral person with the toothpick in their hand. I don't really care.
Yeah.
What I care about more is how many runs they scored in the over. Are they any good? But yeah.
Anyway, on a sadder note, R.I.P. Jimmy Greaves, the greatest goal scorer in the history of the English game. Greaves played for London rivals Spurs, Chelsea, and West Ham, plus a spell in Italy with AC Milan. Greaves was part of the World Cup winning England squad in 1966, but missed out on a place in the final 11 to eventual hat-trick hero Geoff Hurst after being injured in the group stages. And now, careful about this, 666 first-team appearances, Greaves scored 447 goals.
That is ridiculous.
From 1957 to 1971, being Spurs' all-time greatest scorer with 266 goals in 379 games. And Harry Kane's about 30 goals behind him, I think, but has played considerably more games. And scored 44 times for England in just 57 games.
That's nuts.
Not one of those goals, not one of those 44 goals was a penalty.
Wow. And I bet you not many were outside the box either.
Yeah,
the sort of guy, he just passed the ball into the net. He said, you don't need to bash it in there, you just pass it in there.
Quite right. In 1961, Greaves moved to AC Milan, but couldn't settle in the country, but still scored 9 goals in 12 appearances before returning to England to join Spurs. After football, he became a successful broadcaster and co-hosted the football show Saint and Greavesy with former Liverpool and Scotland striker Ian St John. Geez, they used to get away with some trouble on that show.
Some terrible double entendres. Just absolute shockers. But they were fun. And that's the thing. They put fun into football, didn't they?
Absolutely. And Greaves passed away earlier in the week after a long illness aged 81. Rest in peace, Jimmy.
Absolutely, mate. And the great thing about him, I mean, all the talk I've heard about him is that, he really suffered after he didn't play the World Cup final in '66. Of course, he didn't have any substitutions back then. He probably would have got on the field if there was a substitution. Gareth Southgate, if he had been captain, he would have brought him on for a penalty. But yeah,
But he didn't take penalties.
He still would have brought him on for it. Yeah, and then he basically suffered a period of depression and alcoholism as well. He lapsed for about a decade and was sort of out of the public eye for a lot of it. And I heard the guy that was, when he was the producer of Saints and Greaves, he said he was looking for someone to come in and he couldn't find the right host. And then someone suggested him, he said, that's a great idea. And he rang up Jimmy Greaves. He said, Jimmy, what about, being a host of this thing? He was like, oh, nah. He was just like, no, I don't want to do it. And then about 3 or 4 days later, he got a call back and said, is that gig still? I've spoken to my wife. She said I should do it. So she sort of pulled him out of it as well. And just some of his turn of phrase, he was just an absolute champion. And those figures, I mean, I never saw the guy play other than what I've seen on YouTube, etc. But those goal figures, bro, I mean, come on. Yeah. Ridiculous. Just so sad, and dying so soon after Ian St. John, weren't they a pair, mate? Yeah, rest in peace.
They certainly were.
Okay, so we've got the hot air best bet of the week coming up. A little bit of value. We're looking for value bets here, ladies and gentlemen. We've given you 50% sort of 50% winning rate so far. I've given you one win. Mac has given you a win. We've given you a couple of losses as well, but Mac has got a really good, nice value bet for you to. Double, triple, quadruple your money.
Going to the All Blacks South Africa game.
Okay.
I believe this game will be very tight. We won't see a blowout from either side. So I am picking New Zealand 1-12 at $2.88.
1-12 at $2.88. I like that.
Nearly triple your money.
That's good.
Nearly triple your money. And if you think that the box will get up.
What's 1-12 for them playing?
1-12, it's paying $6. But head to head, the Springboks currently playing $5.
Ooh, that's some value considering they are the world champions. We are playing over there.
Yep.
We don't have Aaron Smith. We don't have a couple of other guys. I mean,
Sam Whitelock and Richie Mo'unga are also missing.
It's just hard to bet against the All Blacks, isn't it? It's hard to bet against them and watch them with a clear conscience. I don't know how we do that. Okay, good value. Thank you, Macca. Okay, so I've got the good week, bad week to finish with. Let's start with a good week. It was a good week. Have I got my bad week there? Hang on. Sorry, mate. Oh, yes, I have. Okay, good week. My good week is former Warriors half Mason Lino, who set a world elite rugby league goal-kicking record in the Super League. You probably haven't heard about this.
No.
Samoan International slotted his 36th consecutive conversion in Wakefield Trinity's 44-12 win over Hull FC last weekend to break the world record mark jointly held by former Bulldogs NRL players Hazem Al-Masri and ex-Kiwi star Henry Paul. So there you go, 36 consecutive kicks. That's not bad going, is it?
That's a pretty good effort.
That's pretty good. Unfortunately, he missed his 37th kick, so it's been set at 36. And bad week this week. It's a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek one, but it made me laugh this week. Bad week for Conor McGregor. Good at throwing his hands, but not a baseball. Not so much. He was invited to throw out the ceremonial first pitch at the Cubs game against Minnesota Twins on Wrigley Field on Tuesday night, and it did not go well, did it?
Well, that's the commentator on the film Major League.
Yeah,
I can't remember what his name was on the show, on the movie.
Yeah.
But his real name's Bob Uecker, and former player and commentator. As Bob would put it, it was just a little outside.
Just a little outside. His technique started out strong, and he was dressed for the part. He looked very nice in a three-piece suit, but
very dapper.
When he let the ball go, it sort of sailed wide over the catcher's head, hit the fence, and only narrowly avoided two fans sitting in the front row. I was wondering whether he was perhaps having a crack at those two fans in the front row. Baseball fans have been quick to slam McGregor's pitch on social media, even comparing it to rapper 50 Cent's infamous first pitch at that New York Mets game back in 2014, which was the all-time worst. It was hilarious. Head to our Facebook page, Hot Air Sports Podcast. I've posted the video there. Go and check out Conor McGregor. He can throw a punch, but he can't throw a baseball.
And on that bombshell, here endeth the lesson. Another Hot Air Sports Podcast in the can. We hope you've enjoyed this one as much as you've enjoyed our previous ones. Come back to us in a week's time with another new episode of the Hot Air Sports Podcast. Give us a like and a subscribe.
Comment, share, do all that stuff.
Yep, subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. And have a great sporting week. So it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him. We'll see you next time.